The power of doing nothing. That sounds interesting. I think I can do that. Anybody can. That sounds fun, as a matter of fact. Now, the power of doing nothing is not neglecting things that need to be done in your life, things that you have to do, your responsibilities and all. But the power of doing nothing is that often we do neglect facing very critical issues that we have in our lives. In other words, baggage. Everyone is carrying around a bit of baggage from our previous lives, whether previous recent or previous far. But we're carrying around baggage, issues in our lives that it's so easy to sort of disregard and fill our time doing other things to keep our focus off of what we need to be looking at. Sort of like as the person that gets the bills in the mail and just shoves them in the drawer without looking at them, or the person that doesn't want to sign for a certified letter. There are things that we avoid, so we do nothing. Okay, and what I'm suggesting is that's not a good idea, to do nothing in pertaining to things that need to be done. But doing nothing is what helps you begin to address the other issues, the pertinent issues in our lives that are dragging us down, that are keeping us from doing what we need to do. It's always perplexed me how folks refuse to do the things that are best for their lives, like exercising daily. Every time you go on social media, there's some doctor or somebody on there telling us how important it is for our lives that we should exercise for either longevity and or quality of life, but we don't, and we know it's true. Some of us are still smoking cigarettes. That amazes me. I used to be a 2.5-pack smoker guy, but now with all the information out there and all the knowledge we have and all the people we know that have suffered from various forms of cancer and all, and emphysema and all that stuff, it's amazing that people are still smoking and not eating healthy. We live in an obese nation. So how are people doing that? So you find folks that are, because I used to look at President Obama. Very intellectual man, yet he smoked cigarettes. And I saw that in the military. I'm like, when you saw officers and people that were in charge that were smoking, could you really trust that guy to watch your situation, to make the best decisions for you when they can't even make a good decision for their own personal life? Well, now that I'm older, looking back, I'm not so hard on that type person, because we do have issues. So we can be as successful as anything in one particular area of life because we're gifted, But then we have other areas that seem to be simple to other people like me. Well, why can't you just take care of yourself? And so in all gracefulness, I have to recognize, that I have these issues too. Everyone does. And how do you combat the issues? Well, the concept of meditation. Now meditation, we see the picture of the Buddhist monk or somebody, sitting cross-legged with his fingers out, the Hindu guy, in meditation. I used to do that, for years. I was the martial artist, and that was like a part of it in my mind. But meditation, you don't have to be sitting there, your legs don't have to be crossed. Meditation just really means thinking, deep thinking, and considering. And see, the problem is that when we fill our lives with so many distractions, so many unnecessary things, even television and Netflix and cable and all those things, anything that we do to keep us from having to confront those issues in our lives. And what I'm suggesting is that the answers are there. I just walk by the philosophy, if there's anybody else out there, 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head, that aren't subject to the issues that I'm subject to, if they can get over it, I can get over it. Okay, and so I want to use the concept of meditation to try to share what doing nothing actually means. Doing nothing isn't really doing nothing. Doing nothing is doing something less, the distractions that keep you from addressing the real issues in your life. And those real issues on a subconscious level are keeping you from progressing in other very important areas in your life, like your health or like your education. Relationships, you go down the list, your job, all that stuff. Man, there are other issues that are causing you to sabotage your success. And so I want to share with you then the concept of meditation, that we could take this concept and simply apply it to our lives regarding the distractions. That the meditation, when I first started meditation years and years ago, I was trying to do it just like they do on TV, what they teach, where you just sit there with your legs crossed and even your fingers touching like that and your eyes closed and just trying to clear your mind of every distraction. But I found out in time that even attempting to clear your mind of a distraction is distracting, okay? Because you're focused on clearing your mind of the distraction. That action in itself is distracting. So it didn't take me long to figure that didn't work, you know. So then I tried the thing, you know, where you focus on the flame, you know, the flickering flame. But I was really into the flame, watching the flame, and that was a distraction in itself as well. Another time you put a nail in the wall or something and just focus on the nail. So I was trying so many things, okay? But one day I came to this conclusion, and this is the conclusion that has stuck with me to make me realize that there was no particular form you had to be sitting in, no particular thing you should be considering. It's just a matter of just being quiet. And this is what I want to share with you. So this is what you're doing when you're doing nothing, okay? Doing nothing is really doing something. Doing nothing is preparing yourself to begin to understand and then respond to the real issues in your life that are like on a subconscious level that you're not even really considering. So you're quiet. Find a place, a quiet time, maybe early in the morning by yourself, you know, sitting somewhere. And you can have a pencil and paper. That might help, and you're going to see why in a moment. And you just sit there. And rather than sitting there trying to think about nothing, trying to block your thoughts from thinking, don't do that. As you're in that quiet time with no TV, no radio, no distractions, no anything, just allow your mind to go wherever it will. Allow your mind to wander wherever it will. Don't try to control it, because trying to control it is actually anti the point of the meditation. Let it go. And because you want to find some healing, you want to find mental healing. Now, for example, in a physical way, if I cut my hand, and you know it hurts and it bleeds and all, and my hand will heal eventually. But if I keep messing with it, as it's starting to heal, I'm moving it, opening it up, scratching it, moving it around, it's not going to heal. It's not going to heal as quick. And as it does heal eventually, it's going to be healed in kind of a messed up way, not in the perfect way that it could have healed itself. And what I want to suggest is the mind as well. So when you cut out all the distractions in your life, turn off the TV, the radio, all the distractions that you've been used to, and you have that quiet time, your mind is beginning to bring up things that may be subconscious, things that maybe be kind of conscious, but you have kind of ignoring. All kinds of things will pop up in your mind. Let everything come up that wants to. What your mind is doing at that moment, it's healing itself. In your quiet time of doing nothing, your mind is finding the opportunity to heal itself because it's not being distracted by all the things we subject ourselves to. And so things are going to be coming up and popping up. I got a picture of, you know, you watch those NCIS, FBI type movies, and they're moving the screens around, you know, in midair. That's the way I see it. I see it, that your mind is just bringing up all these things. And eventually it's going to go deep and going to be bringing up things that you hadn't thought of in a long time. And you're going to consider them and consider this and that. Okay, without belaboring this point, you understand what I'm saying, right? Now this is what it's going to do, where the healing comes from. Because many of the issues that we carry with us, we've carried with us from childhood. When we had to face situations, unfair situations, things that just weren't quite right done to us, or even unfair treatment, mistreatment, traumas, things that were trauma to that 6-year-old or that 7-year-old. And so in an effort to survive, not even consciously doing this, we encapsulated those wounds, those issues, those things that we couldn't deal with, couldn't figure out. Rather than lose our minds had the power to encapsulate those things and set them aside. And give us an opportunity to grow despite that issue that you're now carrying around with you. Okay, so we've hidden those issues that harmed us as children, that affected us, that traumatized us as children. We've just encapsulated them and set them aside, but we've carried them around with us everywhere that we've gone in life. Baggage, okay? But see, the thing is, now you're like 30 years old, or 40 years old, or 50 years old, or 67 years old, like me. And now you have an opportunity. If you were able to look at that unfair situation that you went through when you were 6, you'd be looking at it now through adult eyes saying, oh man, that wasn't that big a deal. Or maybe that was a big a deal, but those people, they're all dead anyway. Why am I worried about that? You'll be looking at it through a person your age, where that 6-year-old was not able to deal with that thing and just compartmentalize the issue. You as an adult now can look at it and say, oh, it's okay. That wasn't that big a deal. or it's done and I'm okay. I'm going off doing whatever I need to do in life. So what's happening in your quiet time, in your meditation time, all these negatives, all these things are beginning to come up. All these compartmentalized issues that we have stored away because we were not able to deal with them at the time we were facing them. At this particular time in our life, we can deal with them, but we haven't had the quiet time to be able to realize or focus or refocus on those issues that we've been dragging around with us. And when you focus on them as a person your age, you're able to deal with it. Pop that bubble. It's nothing anymore. And you're free. That issue, that baggage is gone. Just like that. That's why it's important to have. It's the most powerful time in your life, as hard as it is to believe, is the time when you're doing nothing.